All right, so number 13 here is actually going to be similar to number 12 on the previous video, where it's kind of taking into account the previous two terms. And so you can see that's why they gave you a sub 1 and a sub 3 here. So I'm just going to fill out here, if I want to find a sub 3, that would be n plus 2, because the other difference we're seeing here is that this is now defined as n plus 2, and then down here we have sub n plus 1 and sub n. So the way I see this is that this one is going to be 1 behind, so that's going to be a sub 2, because you can see if this one is 3, okay, so we take away 1, and that would be 2, and then minus 2 times a sub 1 right there. So you can see in this case n is 1, okay, and so that's a known value right there, and so n plus 1 would be 2, and n plus 2 would give me the 3. So if I want to find a sub 3 here, it's going to be 3 times a sub 2, which I know is 3 based on the given, minus 2 times a sub 1, which is 2 based on the given. So I get 9 minus 4, and that's going to be 5. All right, so then to find the next one here is a sub 4. So now we're saying if a sub 4 is 2, this one is going to be 1 behind, so that's going to be 3. This one's going to be 2 behind, so that'll be sub 2. So then this one would be 3 times, I know a sub 3 I just figured out was 5, and then a sub 2 I already knew before is 3. And so it's going to be 15 minus 5, and that's 10. So my first 4 terms here would be, let's see, we had 2, 3 were given, and then we got a 5, and then we got a 10. Number 14 is in function form. This is actually not in sequence form, but it's kind of the same idea here. So what they're saying is f of 2 equals 2 times, and you can see this would be f of 1 plus 1. So if f of 1 is 5, and once again that's a given, then we know f of 2 is 2 times 5 plus 1. So I'm still just doing the same thing as before, plugging in the previous term in that spot. So that's going to be 10 plus 1, that'll be 11. So now f of 3 would be 2 times the previous term plus 1, 23. And then 2 times the previous term plus 1, that would be 46 plus 1, 47. All right, number 15, we actually have a mix of recursive and explicit aspects. So when we're looking for a sub 2 here, we know that this is referring to the previous term, so that's just going to be the 3, plus 2 times, and now this one's just n, so that has to match whatever number is out front. So that's going to be coming from right here. And so a sub 2 is going to come out to 3 plus 4, so that would be 7. A sub 3 then, well, we know we're going to plug in the previous term right there, so that 7 is going to go right there. Anytime we see the a sub 1, that's a previous term, plus 2 times, and then I have to plug in whatever's in the subscript for n. So in that case, this is going to be 3. And so once again, that's coming from here. So this is kind of the, this 2n is the explicit aspect. It's matching the number over here. And then the a sub n minus 1 is the recursive aspect. It's just bringing down the previous number. Okay, so then this one will be 7 plus 5, so that's going to be 12. We got one more. So a sub 4, oops. A sub 4 is going to be, see the previous term now is 12 coming from there, plus 2 times, and then the explicit one is 4. So 12 plus 8 is going to be 20. So my list here would be 3, 7, 12, 20. All right, next up we have our sigma notation here, okay? And so what this one is, okay, is it's telling us to add up all the terms, all right? And what it's saying down here is plug this in first, and then you're going to plug in all the integers in between, and then you're going to plug in this last. And then, of course, the sigma means we want to be adding everything up, okay? So on number 15 here, I'm going to plug in the 4 first. So I'm going to do 4 squared minus 6. So that's 16 minus 6 is 10. Then I'm going to plug in 5, and I'm just going to keep plugging in until I get to 8. And how do I know to stop at 8? Because that's what the last number is. So I need to get all of these values. So 25 minus 6 is 19. 36 minus 6 is 30. And now 7 squared minus 6, that's 49 minus 6, 43. And 64 minus 6 would be 58. So now we will add all of those up. I'm going to use a calculator for that. And so I got 160. So that is my answer to this. It should just be one number, the sum of all the other numbers, which is, in this case, 160. All right, so same idea here for number 16. We're going to start by plugging in a 1. So it'll be 1 squared. And we'll do 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, 5 squared. And we will stop there since that's the number up top. Let's see, so I think you could do this by hand actually. So that's 10, that's 20, 25 would just be 55. All right. Okay, so now we're going to kind of go the other way with this. So they have kind of this list of numbers, this sum out here, and so we're going to build a sigma based on it. Okay, so so it's kind of like what we were doing earlier on numbers like 5 through 9, where we were writing the explicit formula. We do need to use an explicit formula. And so that's the answer right here. We got to write the explicit formula for these. And so my advice would always be, for this one, I would say we have n here, because the base is changing. The exponent you can see is always 3, so that's not a variable. It's always the same. And then the base would be changing, so that's n. And then we're going to start at n equals 1 is the first number, and we finish at 7. Obviously, if we used a different variable, that's fine, as long as you define it. So I would say that's good for that one, okay? All right, so then this one here, there's actually a couple ways you could do this one. So my first instinct here is to just say the square root of n. And if we start at 3 and end at 77, you can see that that would kind of give me every number in between there. But there are going to be some times where you really need to start at 1. Now, in sigma, if we're building it ourselves, usually we do have kind of the freedom where we could start where we want. So we could start at 3. But if we did really want to start at 1, then the formula would have to be n plus 2. You can see that would give me a rad 3 to start, and then a rad 4, and so on. And then we would actually stop at 75, because remember, that number up top is not the last number, it's what you plug in to get the last number. So if I plug in the 75, you can see I would get a 75 plus 2, which will give me the rad 77. All right, number 19 here, I'd say super difficult problem on this one, but I'll walk you through it here. So we do a sigma. I kind of notice 3 aspects of this on sigma. So first of all, I notice that there's a 4, and the 4 you can see actually kind of doesn't change throughout. And so that's nice. Then I see that we have alternating positives and negatives, so I'm going to deal with that like we did earlier, where I'm going to do -1 to the power of n. However, I noticed that I want to start at n equals 1 here. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it. But I noticed that if I have -1 to the first power, that would be a negative. And so I'm kind of on the wrong one here. So I need to either add or subtract 1. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 here. So you can see when I plug in 1 up here, it'll be -1 to the 0 power, which is positive. And then if I plug in 2, -1 to the first power would be negative. -1 to the 3 minus 1 power would be positive. So that one works there. Then for the fraction, I notice that all the numerators are 1. And then the denominator here, I notice it increases by 2 every time, so I know that's 2n. But I need to subtract 1. That'll give me that 1, 3, and then 5. And then where do we stop here? Well, I think that we stop, let's see. I'm going to say 2n minus 1 equals 1001. So what would n be? So 2n equals 1002. So n equals 501. So you can check that out. Like I said, that's a really tricky one. I wouldn't expect you guys to get that one, but if you check it out, it does all work. So the 4 stays the same. The -1 to the n minus 1 gives you the positives and negatives. And then the 1 over 2n minus 1 gives you the fractions. All right, next up here, we're going to do some partial sums. So for these partial sums, I really need to know, it wants the first 4. I need to know the first 4 terms again, so I'm going to just get those really quick. It's not going to be our answers, but we're going to use them to get our answers. So 3 minus 5 is negative 2. And then this one would be 2 squared plus 2 times 2 minus 5. So that is 4 plus 4 is 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 squared plus 2 times 3 minus 5. 9 plus 6 is 15, minus 5 is 10. And then a sub 4 is 4 squared plus 2 times 4 minus 5. So 16 plus 8 minus 5, that's 16 plus 3, that's 19. Okay, so what we're really looking for here is s sub 1 is just a1, and so that's going to be negative 2. That's the easy one, all right? Okay, s sub 2 is a1 plus a2, and so that's negative 2 plus 3, so that's 1. S sub 3 is a sub 1 plus a sub 2 plus a sub 3. So you can see that each s sub is the sum of that term plus all the terms in front of it. So this one is going to be negative 2 plus 3 plus 10, and so that would be 11. And then s sub 4 would be a sub 1 plus a sub 2 plus a sub 3 plus a sub 4. So negative 2 plus 3 plus 10 plus 19. And that'll give us 1, so that'll be 30. Same idea here with number 21. So I'm just going to get those first 4 terms first. A sub 2, 2 squared, minus 1 is 3, a sub 3, 2 to the 3rd minus 1, which is 7. A sub 4 is 2 to the 4th minus 1, which is 15. So then s sub 1 is just 1. S sub 2 would be 1 plus 3, so that's 4. S sub 3, adding together the first 3 terms, would be 11. And then s sub 4 would be adding together all 4 terms, which would be 26.